Hey everybody, welcome to Star Wars Month at the Crossing King Garage. This is the only place that you can find an entire month of a father and a daughter who don't always agree on Star Wars talking about Star Wars. We've got an entire month of content ready for you from the Crossing King Garage.
I'm Kristen, and he's Randy. And today we are going to be discussing a show. We are doing our first ever Star Wars show review.
Well, we've done a countdown, have we not?
We did a ranking, but this show came out prior or after, rather,
Post.
that ranking. So this show doesn't have a spot on our ranking currently. Maybe we'll revisit a ranking in a future Star Wars month on down the road.
I'll give you a hint. It would be pretty high up in our ranking.
It would. Today we are discussing Ahsoka, the television show that came out about early May, mid May last
Yeah.
year. And boy, did it not disappoint.
Here's the thing. Ahsoka wasn't even a character in the original trilogy.
Mm-mm.
Ahsoka wasn't even a character until
Star Wars The Clone
Clone
Wars.
Wars. And she came about in the animated show and became so overly popular that Dave Filoni and his crew were like, hey, we've got to do a live action of this to continue that storyline, but basically to be a Rebels season 5.
They brought her back first in Mandalorian to make sure that the character would be well received once again. And boy, was she ever. Everybody was so excited when Rosario Dawson appeared in full makeup. Like,
Yeah.
props to Rosario for being in full makeup. And she actually insisted on the blue contacts because she knew Ahsoka had blue eyes.
Yeah.
And she was like, Ahsoka has blue eyes. Give me those blue contacts. Good job, Rosario. You made sure that fans didn't get mad over eye color. Today, Dad and I are gonna discuss the ins and outs of the Ahsoka show, the things we liked, the things we didn't, and what our overall rating and feeling for it is, and how we look forward to it in the future.
Now, a qualifier and a disclaimer. This is our opinion.
Yes.
You know, we certainly are open to have cool, calm, and collected conversations. Leave comments if you disagree with us. That's great. We have a great big garage here at the Crossing King Garage. Well, it's getting kind of small, but anyway, we love to hear from you guys and let us know what your thoughts are. Perhaps they're thoughts we haven't even thought before. So,
If you don't want to post your comment publicly, feel free to email it to us at crosskin6496@gmail.com. I check that as often as I'm able, and we'd love to hear from you
even if you
guys.
disagree, please make sure you like this video.
Yes, please. But real quick, let me give you the biggest of overviews on the plot. I'm trying to keep it short, so this is just the general basics of the plot. So Ahsoka, Sabine Wren, and Hu Yang, the droid, chase down Balin, Shin, and Morgan to find Thrawn and Ezra, while Hera tries to aid them from the New Republic. Along the way, Ahsoka finds her way back to the path of the Jedi, and Sabine begins hers. That's the biggest of generalities, but that's the basic plot.
If you don't know anybody she just mentioned,
Go watch Rebels.
go watch Clone Wars, go watch Rebels.
And then go watch The Mandalorian because that's where Morgan comes from.
Right, watch The Mandalorian. Watch all of these new things that have come about since episode 4, 5, and 6 were originally debuted in the late 70s. These are incredibly good continuations and deep dives in certain cases to the background and the backdrops of what was going on or potentially going on while 4, 5, and 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, and 9 were taking place or beginning to take place or in the process of taking place. Ahsoka, Sabine, Captain Rex, even to a certain extent. All of these are cursory characters to the first 3 films that were released, but they are incredibly cool additions to the Star Wars universe.
All right. So the way this review is going to work is we're going to just answer a few questions that I came up with about the show. Now,
you made the rules?
Yes, I did. So pretty much everybody in
When do I get to make the rules?
when you come up with the idea for the video.
Fair enough. Moving on.
So pretty much every character, with the exception of Morgan, the Night Sister,
Okay.
Balin, the Ray Stevenson character, and his apprentice Shin, are originally from animation. Pretty much every main character is originally from animation. So how did the characters translate from animation to live action?
That's interesting because we've never seen any time any kind of animated character come to real life. Maybe with the exception of Mickey Mouse. Some of the Disney characters,
Mm,
and we've got a whole passel of that to talk about in the future too.
yeah, coming this summer.
That's a hint for future coming events. So, but with this one, Grand Admiral Thrawn, I think, is the best animation to live action character that was developed in
It
this TV show.
it helped that his voice actor Lars Mikkelsen came back, went through all the blue makeup, and reprised the role and did it phenomenally.
And I think that's part of my problem with some of the other characters. Is there you know them from Rebels, maybe Clone Wars, as a specific voice. And then you see them live action and it's a different voice.
So there's a disconnect.
There's a little bit of a disconnect there. I think the worst of all of them, my opinion, was Hera. I don't know that the actress did as good a job of
Capturing her voice.
capturing her as a leader,
Mm.
capturing her as the bad Mama
Mama
Jamma
Jamma.
she was.
As the group mom.
As the group mom. I'm not sure, but that wasn't necessarily the actress's fault.
No.
I think they could have rewritten that role just a little bit more,
Yeah.
closer to the Rebels description. Ahsoka, however, great job. Great job.
Personally, I think Ezra was the best translated. I mean, good grief, did they ever get somebody who looked exactly like him?
Great
And
actor.
He's not the voice actor. He's not the voice actor at all, but he sounded just like him.
I think the thing that came to me, oh, he's gone through puberty.
Yeah.
He's grown
He's gotten
up.
older.
He's gotten older. So this is a
yeah.
natural aging of his voice.
Of his voice.
Even though it was a little different, it was
Yeah.
close enough to the original actor's voice
That it did sound
that
like
was so endearing.
he'd finally
Again,
grown up.
yeah, I think Grand Admiral Thrawn and Ezra were the best two that came. Hera and Ahsoka, and then there's Chopper.
For me personally, the worst translated over was Sabine, and it's not the actress's fault at all. But there was something a little bit lost in her character. And I get that the character had gone through a lot off screen, losing her whole family for starters. But Sabine in Rebels was the spunky, witty, sarcastic artist girl. Sabine in
She's grown up too
Ahsoka,
much.
she's grown up too much.
Yeah, she's grown up too much.
It's only supposed. I get that it's supposed to have been like 10 years, and she's gone through a lot of life. And I'm getting the 10 years based on Hera's kids' age, so it's been like 10 years since we've seen her. But you don't lose your whole personality. Now, again, I understand. She is grieving the loss of her family. She is grieving the loss of Kanan and Ezra. And she's angry with Ahsoka. But I would have, they patched that up halfway through the show. I would have really liked to have seen her get that spunk back.
I don't know that they made her, or in my mind, that they gave us enough of an indication of her force sensitivity in Rebels.
Yeah.
So that whole force thing kind of came out of left field.
Yeah. And while it's fine, and I mean, maybe Ezra giving her his lightsaber. Although he hands it to Chopper, and I guess Chopper gives it to Sabine.
I just don't know that they. I think
didn't
they
set her up as a Jedi quite well enough. Maybe if they did a flashback to her and Ahsoka, like at least discussing, the fact that she's maybe force sensitive, that might have been a thing. But I'm not mad that she's a Jedi. I think it's kind of awesome that she's a Jedi that just kind of figures it out.
Yeah. Here's one other thing. We didn't say this on the outset, and we really should. We are huge fans of this show.
Oh, yes, we love it.
We think the casting was done well. We just think that there are some small things,
things.
small things that as fans we think are could have been a little bit better. We
But
love the show. We
yes,
think the actors and actresses
yes.
involved did a great job
Rosario
of
Dawson, Mary Elizabeth Winstead, y'all did phenomenal.
bringing these Rebels characters to live action for us.
Yes. Yes. I'm sorry that we didn't say that originally. But yeah, the rest of the characters are fair to middling as far as I'm concerned. I do love Jason. The kid that they got to play Jason Syndulla, Hera and Kanan's son. That child was precious. I do love that we got our pilot friend from The Mandalorian back, even though I think he was there as a substitute character. I'll talk about that here in a minute. All right.
Overall, the characters translated well.
Yes.
With we think some did better than others,
Yes.
but overall, I thought they did a great job of bringing the Rebels characters. Good job, good job.
Was
We didn't mention Chopper.
We love Chopper.
We love Chopper.
Chopper's the one character that they couldn't have messed up if they tried.
I mean, how do you mess up a droid? And when Dave Filoni is doing the voice,
yeah, he's still at the helm of the
and
show.
he's still, yes, Mr. Filoni, thank you.
We love you, Dave Filoni. All right, was the story engaging?
I thought it was slow. Boy, really slow. I think it started slow from The Mandalorian.
Mm,
I'm not sure they did enough
to
build
pick it
up.
up.
Yeah, I don't know that they built it up enough in The Mandalorian to
Mm,
get Ahsoka launched, and they still had work to do.
mhm.
These extra characters and their search for the father, brother, and sister.
Yeah, Balin and Shin.
Some of that, I thought we had closed that chapter of the story, and that kind of came from out of nowhere. So I thought it started slow, but man, oh man, it finished well, as so many of the Star Wars properties do, including the original films. They seem to start off positive, annoying even to a certain extent, C3PO. But they wow you by the end of the show, and you're so, I think, very engaged
Mhm.
by the end of it that you're like, season 2 can't happen soon enough.
I agree to an extent that it started off slow. My thing was it was only 6 episodes. So they didn't have enough time to build everything the way I would have liked it. Now, granted, I wasn't the showrunner. I wasn't in charge of how things laid out, but I would have liked to see why Hera is having to fight so hard to be taken seriously as a general when back in Rebels she was literally the one building the rebellion. There were just there was something about it. It's like it was hurry up and wait.
Do you think it was the strike? Was the strike going on?
No, because they finished filming and editing before any of the strikes happened. Part of the problem was that none of the actors could really do press for it.
That's true.
So,
Yeah,
I mean, but that's a behind the scenes thing that had nothing to do with the show.
right.
But I can't really explain it. Now, don't get me wrong. I love the show, but there was a lot of hurry up, fast pace, and then stop. We're gonna take forever to get on with it. It felt like really start and stop.
Yeah.
Like we'd get somewhere, and it took until episode 4 for us to actually get somewhere.
So you're saying when Hayden shows up,
Yeah.
I mean, let's face it, when Hayden Christensen shows up
And he and Ahsoka do their whole
as
world between,
Anakin,
because that's when Ahsoka starts to actually click.
it starts clicking at that point.
That's when
And
I know we already talked about the characters. A small issue I have with the character of Ahsoka in this is that she, like Sabine, seems to have grown up too much.
yeah,
Ahsoka was snits.
right.
Ahsoka was witty and dry. And yes, again, impetuous. I get she's gone through it a lot. She's come back from the dead for all intents and purposes. She's lost everybody she loves. She found out her master was the ultimate bad guy. So I get that Ahsoka's been through a lot, but she's at a point now where she's met Luke. She knows there's hope for the future. So I don't get why she is just so stoic.
Yeah, I agree.
For the majority of the episode or for the majority of the show until she gets past the world between the worlds mind trip with Anakin. I get the closure. I understand it. That doesn't mean I like it very much.
Yeah.
It felt like Ahsoka was a little too serious until after that scene. Then she's joking around with Hu Yang and jumping out of the spaceship and whipping with the bad guy.
And
it seems like Snips came back.
the stuff with Hayden seemed a bit forced to me. The world between the worlds, all of that, just, and I get that the fact that Ahsoka needed closure, but I'm not sure it was Anakin that she needed closure with. I think it was all of the Jedi that she needed closure with.
That's valid. But anyway, moving right along, we like the story. We just feel there could have been a little bit more meat to it. And
Now-
again, part of that issue is that they only had 6 episodes to
The
work with.
lightsaber battles,
Yes. But I
were
mean,
beautiful.
Star Wars has the lightsaber battles down to a science
Yes.
at this point. Does it keep the narrative of the Filoniverse going? So everything that's
without
been
doubt.
going on with Mandalorian and Boba Fett and everything he seems to have been building towards, does it keep that narrative going?
Without doubt. In my mind, even though it was a little slow in its approach, it answered a lot of the questions that Rebels left with.
I agree.
It solved the cliffhangers that Rebels left us with. I don't know, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, I'm not sure that they did as good a job of tying in there as they could have.
With the exception of the Mandalorians in season 3 with Bo-Katan.
Right, exactly. Now, I think, and to a certain extent, they went a little too far in making this a Rebels sequel and not fleshing out Ahsoka enough in her storyline and in her tale and where she goes. And I understand. I get the fact that she was very important in Rebels. But to me, this is a continuation of Rebels more so than it is Ahsoka's story. I love that. I do. Don't get me wrong. But let's call it Rebels Season 5
in live action.
in live action.
How were the villains?
Villains were good. I mean, they're never going to be Darth Vader. They're never going to be Sidious. They're never going to be Darth Maul.
Thrawn scared the crap out of me.
That's the one exception.
But again, he's played by his cartoon voice. Cartoon him already scared the crap out of me. So him in live action is like, how far back in this couch can I get so he doesn't get me?
I will say this series has some tie-ins to the book by Timothy Zahn, Heir to the Empire, which is a very, very good Star Wars read, especially given Rebels. You should go and read. It's a trilogy by Timothy Zahn, and it's the Heir to the Empire. And Thrawn is all through that. I think there's even a new Thrawn book out there. Came out last Christmas, I want to say. That is supposed to be very, very good as well.
Morgan is also good. I like that we confirmed that she is, in fact, a Night Sister. It was great to get the Night Sisters back and in live action. I'm calling them the 3 Fates because that's what they were basically. Right. I think they were like the 3 mothers or the ancient mothers, something like that. They scared me almost as much as Mother Talzin used to. So it was great seeing the Night Sisters again. Baylan and Shin. Let's talk about them for a second.
That seemed an odd insertion.
They weren't Sith, but they weren't Jedi.
Yeah, and
he didn't really seem to have animosity towards Ahsoka. He was just there to get to that place.
Now, don't get us wrong. We're very saddened by the actor's
Ray
passing.
Stevenson, yes.
We're very, very saddened because we would have liked to have continued that storyline.
They may recast the character, but Ray Stevenson did a great job in the role.
It's like I said on the outset. I thought they had pretty well wrapped up the father, brother, and
Mortis
sister
arc.
Exactly. I thought they had done a pretty good job of wrapping that all up, but they've revived it now
with Baylan standing on the father's statue.
With Baylan standing on the father's statue and making you really curious as to where that all is going to play out and how that plays out in Thrawn's overall and Ezra's and Ahsoka's overall arc, so to speak.
My theory is that somehow Baylan is gonna be how we get Ahsoka and Sabine back to our galaxy from that place because it's in a whole nother galaxy,
That
and
would
right
make
now
sense.
Sabine
Yeah.
and Ahsoka are stranded. And then Shin, she's just kind of there. Bless her heart, she doesn't get to do much.
She is that apprentice. And
She
all throughout the Star Wars universe, you usually wind up with a bad guy having some sort of an apprentice.
Mhm. And don't
Darth
get me wrong,
Maul,
she
Darth
was
Maul
great.
tried it time and time and time and
Mhm.
time again,
And it never
especially with
worked,
Ezra.
especially
And
with
see, that's
Ezra.
one of the reasons why I was a little surprised, even if maybe as a Force ghost, that Maul didn't show up.
That would have been interesting, but
That
we've
would have
never
been
seen a Sith
interesting.
as a Force ghost.
We haven't, but
It
why
it
wouldn't you?
it depends on how one, because the dark side's as much as the Force as the light. So
So,
that'd be really interesting though.
but I don't see Maul coming back.
Oh no.
Again, we've said it before. We'll say it again. Darth Maul is probably one of the most underused characters in all of Star Wars, even with what they did with him in the Clone Wars. But in Ahsoka, he would have been a really neat, just kind of addition in there, especially with us having the Night Sisters there, especially with the father sister brother thing going on.
Mm.
It would have been very, especially with Ezra and Maul's interaction with Ezra. I think if maybe, hey, season 2
Maybe at least just have him kind of haunting us, even
or
if it's just bad memories.
right, even if it's a bad nightmare that Ezra has or something. Yeah, I just we want more Maul.
Somehow give us just a little bit more Maul. We're not
Yeah,
asking for a full blown Son of Dathomir show. Just a little quick cameo. That's all we want.
that's all we want.
All right. Was it a worthy follow up to Rebels?
I think so. Yes,
I agree.
I think
100%. I
with
don't think we need to discuss it. It was a great follow up to Rebels,
I've said it before. I think you could call it Rebels season 5.
and nobody would throw a fit.
Yeah.
How was the music by
Star
Kevin Kiner?
Wars has set a standard in modern day classical soundtrack type music. Rebel Rebel season 5. Ahsoka
Ahsoka.
does not disappoint. It continues. Kevin Kiner has already done some of the Star Wars
He
universe
did the Rebels
music.
score.
So it makes sense for him to come along and paint the backdrop musically for this series. I think it's absolutely beautiful. One of the things about music that if you're watching the television show and the music gets your attention, that's not a good soundtrack. Especially if it's getting your attention in bad spots where it should never get your attention.
Whereas this soundtrack blended and amplified everything that was happening on screen.
Absolutely.
Bits of score that plays during the World Between the Worlds. The
Beautiful.
whole score in that episode with
Absolutely
Anakin and
gorgeous.
Ahsoka. Oh my goodness, the music, that could have almost been a silent film, and the music could have told us everything they were
Everything we
saying.
needed to know. Yeah,
Like
absolutely.
it was really good.
The music really was another character in this television show.
Give Kevin Kiner an Emmy.
It's also one of those things where if you go and look at Obi-Wan, if you look at Andor, if you look at Boba Fett, I'm not sure you can say that about those television shows as
Kevin
much.
Kiner already knows these characters.
True.
He's been scoring some of them since Clone Wars.
Right,
So he
right.
already knows what music works well for Ahsoka, what music works well for Hera. He knows how to score
Yeah.
these guys.
Great job.
Well
Bravo.
done, Mr. Kiner.
Bravo.
We love you very much. All right. How did it compare to the other shows?
I think it's one of the tops.
I agree.
I don't
think it's as good as Clone Wars, Bad Batch, or Rebels. I don't quite think it's as good as Andor, but I think it's better than Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Obi-Wan, Tales of the Jedi.
That's kind of where I was going to put it. I'm not sure that it's as good as Andor, but I don't think it's supposed to be because it tells a different story, a different segment even of the Skywalker saga, the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
I think that since it is a newly created portion of the universe, that's one of the reasons why I don't think it's as good as Andor, which was part of the OG Star Wars.
Agree. I agree. Like I said, I don't think it's quite as good as what I think were our top 4 in our TV show ranking. Link hopefully up here. But it's definitely in the top 5 of our Star Wars shows, in my opinion.
Excellently done. We love Ahsoka.
Thoughts on the ending with Ahsoka and Sabine being stranded in the other galaxy, Ezra reunited with Hera, and Anakin's Force Ghost looking on.
They're not freaking out. So you know that season 2 should be on the way, or something in The Mandalorian is going to explain this.
Yeah.
You know, you
We
you
can't leave the one of what? 3, 4, 5 Jedi that are left alive stranded in another universe.
like all good television shows that want to continue on, this one left us with a cliffhanger. And I think it was a good cliffhanger. I think it certainly had Kristen and I wanting a lot more.
My exact words were, "That's it?"
Right, exactly, and I think that's what a lot of fans were. That's it. That's all we get.
And here's my thing. I'm one of those people, while I don't need the cliffhanger to resolve, I'm good with cliffhangers. I love cliffhangers. There is one emotional beat I really wish we had had. I wish Hera hadn't just stared at Ezra. I wish there had been a hug or some sort of emotional thing other than her just going, Ezra? And
Stun him
him
with
going,
a
hi, Hera. I mean, we had Chopper being the one to realize, like, if we wanted to actually, like, make this proper Rebels reunion, Chopper would have hit him, and then Hera would have gone, chop, then he would have taken off the mask and she wouldn't have said his name. She would have run and hug him like the mom she is. Just personal opinion.
again. We go back to the point that a lot has happened in all of their lives since the end of Rebels, and
He's
that's
basically her kid. Let's just call it what it is. She and Kanan adopted Ezra back in Rebels season 1 for all intents and purposes. So, I mean, there should have at least been a hug or something more than her just saying his name and him saying, "Hi, I'm home."
and black.
And then cut back to Sabine and Ahsoka.
Yeah,
Like there should have been something a little bit more there. Sabine and Ahsoka's cliffhanger, I don't mind. It's very sweet that Anakin is now watching over her, and I find it very interesting that Sabine saw his ghost, at least a little bit of a wisp of him, and Ahsoka didn't. So that's a little bit curious to me. So I'm wondering if, like, maybe Sabine's gonna start getting like Force Ghost training, a little bit like Obi-Wan did from Qui-Gon at the end of Obi-Wan's show. So that's my opinion. I don't think the ending was bad. I think there just could have been a little bit more. Just a little bit more.
and part of what Kristen said earlier about it only being 6 episodes, 10, 12 might have fleshed all of this out, but it also might have made it even slower at the front end.
Yeah,
And so, you know, we love the show. Not one of our favorite, you know, top of the line of the television shows, the live action, but it is very good as a continuum in the Star Wars universe.
what was missing?
Captain Rex
And Zeb.
and Zeb.
Now, like I said
That's
a
fair.
little bit ago, I personally think Rex was originally intended to be there. I think because Tamara Morrison was busy filming Aquaman 2 at the time that Ahsoka was filming, that they replaced what was gonna be Rex's role with our pilot buddy from Mandalorian.
Mm.
I think that the lines he says, the way he interacts with everybody, because he acts like he's part of Hera's squad, and he's not been shown to be part of Hera's squad. And we also saw him interact with Zeb in Mandalorian season
Right,
3.
right.
So he knows the Rebels crew. So he does make sense to fit in there, but I do still think that his role originally was meant to be Rex's, um, which would have probably meant that the role either was expanded or cut down so that it made a little bit more sense. But Rex should have been there. We should have found a way to give Rex more of a role than somebody who definitely wasn't Tamara Morrison in the Rex armor, and Tamura providing the voice for, I think, a grand total of 1, maybe 2 lines. Like, he wasn't even credited when we watched those credits. We watched them with eagle eyes to see if he was
Yeah.
credited, and I didn't see him credited.
You mentioned Zeb. They did a good job of explaining where Zeb was.
Yeah, he's off on some barracks
And
in the Outer Rim.
in the Outer Rim. And so, I mean, but it would have been nice for him to have been a part of the reunion
At the end. Yeah, like Hera could have very easily, light speed exists in this universe, so she could have very easily, after they sent Ahsoka off, like, Zeb checks in with his mother. every now
Yeah.
and then. She's the rebels' mom. You know he checks in with her. She could have been like, yeah, Ahsoka went to go get Ezra. The minute that was said, he would have been by Hera's side, logically speaking.
If he had known.
If he had known. So that means that she didn't tell him anything.
Right.
Was this the completion of Anakin / Hayden's redemption?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I think Anakin Skywalker, his redemption didn't get done until um I know this is before the fact, I guess, but episode 6. That's when you get Anakin's redemption. Even as him showing up as a Force ghost. Now, does it resolve his and Ahsoka's relationship? Yes, but I don't think you call this his overall redemption.
When I say redemption, I mean like the way he was portrayed in the prequels, because a lot of people didn't like Hayden's portrayal in the prequels, and
I thought this was good. I thought this was okay. A redemption of Christian Hayden.
Hayden
Hayden
Christensen,
Christensen, yes. The character, no.
yes. Okay,
That's fair.
that's fair. That's fair. I agree. I love that Hayden is now being better embraced by the Star Wars community. It's amazing what happens when he's given a good script. Him in the Rebels, or not the Rebels, the Clone Wars
Hmm?
armor plating. I thought I was going to cry just a little bit because I'm like, there's my cartoon. His hair was done exactly like the cartoon character.
Yeah, they
Like,
did a good job
he
with
was
Hayden.
moving like the character did in the cartoon. And I'm like, Hayden, you're finally the version of Anakin I love.
Yeah.
So I was thrilled.
Yeah.
I was thrilled. What do we rate it?
Well, I think we've already talked a little bit about how we would
Like
rank it.
out of stars, 10 stars, what is its star count?
I'd say a solid 8.
I think about an 8.5.
You know,
for me.
I don't think it's a 9 because of some of the issues that we've
Mhm.
talked about. I think it's a solid 8 because of the score, because of the good job that all of the actors and actresses did.
The Purrgil were amazing. The CGI was glorious.
It was very, very good, very good all around. It's not a 10, but it's not a 5 either. It is right in the middle of those top tier Star Wars television shows that Disney, you're doing a good job with it.
Are we looking forward to season 2? Yes.
Without doubt. Yeah. Without doubt.
Yes,
Well,
very
I think
much.
there's enough that it left us with to develop a season 2.
Mhm.
And again, I still think we want to see what the conclusion of Ahsoka is going to be. Where does she wind up?
See, that's the thing, because we've talked already about our minor disdain for the sequel trilogy.
Mhm.
Her voice during that moment when Rey is hearing all the Jedi voices in 9, Ahsoka's voice, as played by the actual voice from the cartoon, Ashley, her voice is among all of those Jedi ghosts. So somehow, some way, Ahsoka has died by the point of 9. She's either died, become one with the Force, or a friend of mine actually posited this as a crazy theory. She can feel how strong the Force is vibing at that moment, and she's just like, okay, I'm reaching out to help out. Because Ahsoka does have an extremely strong tie to the Force, as evidenced by the fact she was able to communicate with Purrgil.
Right.
So, I mean, it is entirely possible that she is just reaching out with the Force, but it's also entirely possible she's dead by the time of 9. And since it doesn't look like they're going to decanonize 9 anytime soon,
And they shouldn't, even though it's bad, they shouldn't. But I don't think. I think personal. I think Dave Filoni knows how Ahsoka goes.
Mhm.
And
Well, she's his
realistically,
character.
I think she could go 2, maybe even 3 seasons. But ultimately, her demise or her however could
One with
wind
the
up
Forceness.
in the Mandalorian movie.
That's true. Ooh.
You know what her conclusion could happen in the Mandalorian
In
movie.
Mandalorian and Grogu, yeah.
And that would be where you could finish off a lot of these open-ended storylines. Boba Fett,
I mean, I think that's kind of the plan,
you know,
but they're
is have
being
them all
very
come.
hush hush about everything that's going down with
Yeah.
the Mandalorian.
Well, we look forward to Ahsoka season 2, but we also look forward to the Mandalorian. next season as well as the movie.
hmm And that's it, guys. That's our opinions on the Ahsoka show. What do y'all think of some of what we talked about? Do you agree with me that Rex was sorely missed? I also think Hondo could have very easily had a cameo,
That's
and
true.
he
Oh
didn't.
no!
There's always room for Hondo.
Always room for
He was
Hondo.
one of Ezra's best friends,
That's
so
true.
why wouldn't we try to get him
And
involved in
and that's a
this?
point. Why would you not? There were a handful of characters that interacted
Ezra.
with Ezra.
Why would you not inform them that this is your plan? Since they're wanting to go around the New Republic for this mission, better to go around the New Republic than Honda.
A pirate. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and again, there are some characters that were so important to Ezra Bridger's storyline,
Mm,
which was the storyline of Rebels. Okay,
mm,
let's face it. Ezra was the Luke Skywalker of Rebels. And
mm.
so you really, that would have been one of those things that I would have liked to have seen them fleshed out. And maybe in Ahsoka season 2 they'll do that.
We
Some of
get that
these,
this was Ahsoka's show, so obviously Ezra couldn't be the main character,
sure,
but he is the linchpin of the show. He's
without
the
doubt.
whole reason we're doing this thing.
Right, right. So
So
we loved it. We thought it was great. 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10, and that's Ahsoka.
yep, we liked it a whole bunch. We are very much looking forward to season 2. We're very curious as to what it's going to be, and we hope you guys liked it as much as we did. Let us know how you feel about it in the comments below. Are we insane for not giving it a 10, or did we rate it too high? Let us know.
We haven't got any information, or else we'd share it about what Ahsoka season 2 is, when
None.
it might even start filming.
None.
We've not heard anything. I'm not sure what the principals are, even filming right now. I would imagine their contracts with other film projects are going to be, the scheduling and everything that happens in Hollywood. Faith
Just
and Filoni.
faith in Filoni, and Filoni we trust. But that's it for today. Leave us a like, leave us a comment, ring that notification bell so that you know every time we upload, and please do subscribe.
And until the next time, where we've joined together in the Crossing King Garage to talk about things that really honestly don't matter, we welcome you to the family here in the Crossing King Garage.
I'm Kristen,
I'm Randy. We'll
and
see you
until
next
next
time.
time, bye!